Okay, I'm not going to talk too much about this gender ideology idea, but there's a few things to note. Number one, Moses accounts are real. They do work, even in the modern era, meaning there is a God upstairs, a creator upstairs who knows us personally. He knows our family trees. He knows who's the aunt, who's the uncle, who's the cousin, who's the in law. It's kind of like you have a dream at night and you're like, oh, I remember so and so was in my dream. Well, you're made in the image of God, in the image of our creator. And so these themes apply to all mankind, these Moses themes, because we still have dreams. Joseph, the Bible, had a dream. So I'm just saying, okay, let's start with that. Joseph, the Bible, had a dream. And he was speaking about his brothers. Okay, those are brothers. Just brothers. Nothing about the women, just the brothers. He wore a coat of many colors. Now, think about that. A coat with many colors. Why colors? What is that? Well, it applies to our reality. When we hear of many colors in the playing field called One Life, we think, oh, colorful flag, colorful this, colorful that. The actuality is that every nation on this earth has a certain lumen level strength. I mean, there's no nation above another nation. There's no nation on this earth that can suddenly see um, brighter things and other things. What you will find is that there's higher levels of like cataract or surgical procedures that need to be done on eyes in areas where people live closer to the sun, like along the equator. You see higher eye problems, okay? When people are further away from the equator, you might see more coloration changes in the eyes, like a bluer eye for the people that have genetics from, northern regions. Okay, but then you'll have higher like skin cancer rates or something like that. Okay, that's their creator. But there's no man on earth that goes beyond the strength, the lumen strength that the creator gives us while we're living on this earth. Not one. We're all pocketed into the same color spectrum. When you hear of Joseph and the coat of many colors, boom, you'll know, it'll click in your head what that means. Okay. Anyway, his brothers beat him up. They beat him up. Okay. Here's a key. Language trails are around. Nation differences occur. Um, in one culture, a white string on a garment means something to a different culture, but yet they might have something similar in mind and heart as far as what does that white string mean on a garment? What does that mean? What does the color white and it's a string on our garment mean? Okay, think about that. Joseph in the coat of many colors, white strings on garments. Okay, now in the indigenous American culture, sometimes it depends on who's wearing that white string. Is it a female or a male? Okay, now think. When the male is speaking about this white string, whose voice is going to carry more? The male or the female? So you would describe this white string differently. Let's just say white in Hebrew is like wab, Laban sometimes, or wabish. I don't know what it is, but the voice is carrying in the language trail, just white. You'd hear more. The wavelengths of the male would travel in deep, it'd create more waves. The wavelengths of the female voice, higher voice, the low, like a lighter tone, like a lighter movement around. Wouldn't carry as much. So you speak of it, Wa Mishnah, or something. Wa Mishnah. Or But if a male says it or wears it or something like that, it's wabishanapara. They say it more, they have more force to it when they say something. So it's like, there's something in the language themes which we didn't create. Okay, we didn't create all these language differences. Look at the Tower of Babel story. All right, where did all these languages and the nations come from? Anyway, now thinking about that fact that languages differ nation to nation, okay? Um, Later on in our Bible, you have the Joseph the color, coat of many colors. In the New Testament, it talks about John the Baptist. He's coming. He's going to be arriving soon. Prophesied, predicted to be a male in the womb. In the womb. This is before ultrasound. Think about that. And Elizabeth the Bible is older. She's the older woman. She has a little more wisdom about the need for like Levitical themes, so to speak. Think about it. Levitical themes, going to the temple, things of that sort. So you got to sort it out. Mary of the Bible, younger, doesn't understand. Her brain isn't developed enough to grasp gender elements. Elizabeth, she's a little older. She kind of got some wisdom there. She's like, this is going to be male. He's going to arrive. He's going to be there. I know how this works. She kind of knows. She's seen enough. She's heard enough about maternity themes. She knows that women have passed away. There's stories in the Bible about women passing away at childbearing. Besides the Rachel story, there's other stories too. Okay. Okay. One little story, one little clue, one little detail that John the Baptist was going to be a male and a close relative of Jesus, meaning they aren't like, I don't know what the distance of cousin between Mary and Elizabeth was. I have no idea. But they more than likely both called themselves Anashim, meaning people. Something is saying, wait a minute. The Creator himself knows the people. He knows the gender themes before man can even design it. And yes, later on in the Bible, Jesus himself spoke about eunuchs born this way or that way from the womb. They were created that way from the womb. So, and Jesus healed a woman bleeding. Does that devalue the person's voice? The voice itself and what language they use? Like, remember the white string story I'm talking about in the Native Americans? I'm like, the male says it one way, the female says it another way. Or the male, when he wears a white string, he's got his, he it's described a different way than the female. So there's a male-female theme in the entirety of creation. All of it. Remember, our languages have been separated. But who are the Anashim? The Hebrew language. Okay. Now, did you know that wheat is not found on American soil until within the last, 300, 400 years or something like that? Wheat is a new product on American soil. It's not been here for over 1,000 years. But the Anashim have been here for over 1,000 years. I'm hearing something. Okay. Look at, I'm hearing it. You can tell. This is a high-pitched tone to it, doesn't it? Ringing a bell. Indigenous Native American women will wear bells in their garments. Hebrew priests would wear bells on their garments. Something sounds, the strength of the ears is the same between the cultures on both sides of the pond. Remember, Elizabeth and Zacharias were Levites. Levites, just leave it at that. Where is this gender mix-up coming from? The thing I can tell you is that they want to distort the hearing ear. They're trying to distort the ear, the decibel levels of the ear. See this patterned clothing I'm wearing right here? What if Joseph of the Bible was wearing patterned clothing of this sort? Does it cause him, as a male, fine-featured male, to suddenly become female? No, it's just clothing. Let's see it. Colored clothing. Okay. The indigenous people of America, you can see it to this day. Watch a powwow thing. The males wear more colored clothing, and they have tasseled garments. Does that make them suddenly all female just because they're wearing colored clothing? No, that's a lie. It's from the enemy. Now, remember this, the voice of one crying in the wilderness. Who is that? Symbolized, I think it's John the Baptist. Isn't it? Look it up. So, but what about Jesus' voice? When he was speaking and calming the storm, he would have to have a male voice. His Ancestry 23andMe report, so to speak, is already written down in the whole Bible. It's already written down, perfectly clear, right in the New Testament gospel accounts. He's of Shem. He's got a male voice from Shem. His DNA report says you're going to have a male voice, and it's going to be Shemitic. Okay? He can calm the storm with his own voice. Okay. Anyway, whenever we hear about this gender flip-flop thing, be careful and be wise. We're making a different form of a concentration camp, and we don't realize it. It's called putting your teacher in prison. It's called putting your midwife in a prison. Do you want all midwives who live within 20-minute drive of your local family to be put in a prison if they refuse to administer drugs to a teenage boy? Do you want to see that happen? That's a local midwife that has helped many women with bleeding women problems. Keep in mind, Jesus healed bleeding women. Do you want all of them to go to prison because they refuse to administer drugs to a teenage male with a male voice, a male height? The enemy has a resource, and it's like, look at, like, I was just hearing a video once, and it talked about Diana of the Bible, or this Diana that they're worshiping, or some sort of worship thing in the book of Acts. Okay. There's a worship involved with this gender flip-flop mix-up stuff. It's a worship. It's nothing new. It was here way back in the storylines of the New Testament. It's a false feminine, a false women's health thing, a dangerous women's health thing. It's going to put the Joseph of handsome features in a concentration camp because he is wearing colorful clothing. Do you see it? I see it. I can see right through it. The enemy describes himself with deception. Do you know that Hitler was a self-mutilator? Think about it. He didn't like the sounds of people's voices crying, "Get us out of here." He was a self-mutilator too. What does self-mutilation mean? You don't like your body you're given. At the end, he was a self-mutilator. Leave stuff alone. Sociopathic, psychopathic, whatever it is. Leave stuff alone. Jesus, he calmed the storm. Your local midwife, meaning within 20-minute drive of your local women, that's not a political game when it comes to women's health, especially after 12 weeks along. Give me a break. Anyway, I think we're getting this puzzle, but we have to listen carefully, okay? All right. Have a good day.